Hello, my name is Terry Saka. Welcome to the Wealth Transfer and welcome to fall time in October. I actually love this month. It is the harvest month and I love the harvest. I love the changing of colors. I love the smell of pumpkin pie coming, and I just really love fall. So welcome into the fall.
Aren't you traditional?
I love it. This is just such a time. You know, regardless of how nervous times are looking and how destabilizing things are becoming, you know, that is the key. Let's not forget to enjoy the simplest things.
That's very good.
It is.
We live in a blessed country, no doubt.
We are blessed
no
people.
Doubt.
You know, keep Jesus center, love your neighbor, love your family. You know, those people are trying to cause strife. Just bless them, Father, for they don't know what they can do.
There you go.
And in this show today, we're going to show you, unfortunately, we've laid out the maps, Charles, on what the East is trying to set up, what we're setting up in our little pittance of a trade deal, and how are we going to keep it together? How are we going to do it? And I'm going to show you today our military footprint. Wait till you see our military footprint today.
You've actually been mentioning for the past several months, actually, one of the reasons that we hold the dominance that we do in the world is because of our strong military.
Yeah, and we're the best. You know, mainly we're volunteer. We have the best technology, the best soldiers. Phenomenal men and women that run the show for us. We are sophisticated, we are smart, we have the best equipment. It's difficult to beat us, but the problem is this world's electronic, and we're seeing hacking. I have a feeling it's going to be very simple. We have a military, but if they hack our nation, shut down our infrastructure, we're in trouble.
Mention one of the ways they can shut down the infrastructure.
Our grid, our electronic grid, our electric grid, is on a 5-point grid. 5. That's it. Our whole United States.
Oh, you mean it starts from 5 points?
Yeah, because you think of the United States and you think of it like this. It's like a map of web. And when you look at the United States and you look at the actual grids that, like the hubs that control energy, you shut down one of those, it'll shut down so many states.
How do you shut those down?
Oh, blow them up, hack them computer-wise.
If they they're all
connected
by computers.
Sure. You shut one hub down, you could shut off the whole entire Northeast.
It's an EMP. Am I saying that
Electromagnetic pulse.
What are those, and how could they affect something?
You know, I had a NATO secret in nuclear in the Army, and I do know because I've talked with Army Intel guys, and one of the biggest things that they were concerned about back then was electromagnetic pulse.
This has been, what, 40, 50 years ago?
Hey.
I'm just playing.
Look at it. I still got color. I'm not doing too bad here.
Just, what, 20 years ago? 25 years ago?
25. And so, that was then. Now, that was a concern. Now, what the concern was, not that someone nuked our land and buildings, but that they blew up a bomb in the atmosphere.
And what would that do? You mean just over the atmosphere?
Yes, it would. That would destabilize and blow up every electronic circuit.
How does it do that?
Because an electromagnetic pulse sends magnetism with such a force to destroy all the circuitry.
So the atomic bombs or the nuclear bombs actually have a magnetic force?
Well, it's part of it's the nature of the explosion.
Okay.
And what it would do is it would destabilize. It would send energy waves through the entire electrical grid. Literally, you could be in a house, it doesn't matter. It'll come right through and fry every cell phone, every radio, every TV.
Wow.
Here's the problem. If that ever happened, we estimated anywhere between 6 months, 9 months, maybe 12 before we would get things running.
So
let me put it this way. You say that. There's a reason the government relocated to the Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado that is EMP protected. They moved out of it and then just recently moved back in. Why?
So if a force of
either a sunburst
or a sunburst do the same thing, right?
Right. It did in the 1800s.
And that's happened on occasion
in the
small
1800s.
places.
We had an EMP burst from the sun. Back then, it would have shut down every single piece of electronic, fried every circuit. We didn't have electronics back then, though.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So
if that same thing happened today, every single piece of electronic equipment would be gone. Yeah. Now, problem,
crazy,
no cars would work.
Right, because they're all electronically controlled.
You wouldn't have electricity in the house.
Ignition.
Right. Yeah. No hair dryers, no air conditioning.
Yeah.
Right. And problem is we may not even have water because of the pumps. So are they EMP protected? I don't know how that works.
And
So we
of course-
basically
and
go
of
back to
course
the
people-
1800s overnight.
People would jump on that stuff as quickly as they could to try to repair some of that stuff, but there's going to be
Well,
shut
first
down.
they got to get there.
Right.
Because
And
everything's
if your
shut
car
down.
doesn't run.
Car doesn't run, you got to walk.
Yeah.
Get on a bike.
So there's some people, and we're not doomsday preppers, but people need to be prepared.
Well, the whole
and,
thing
and
is-
there are people that are prepping, buying old vehicles that don't have electronic
Listen,
ignitions.
the government did. The government is. That's part of their whole. There's a big piece of the government that is preparing. I mean, can we prepare for that? Probably not. If it hits, if we didn't get an EMP, it would literally wipe everything out. I mean, we would go back to the 1800s. We would have chaos, anarchy, and 2/3 of the country would die. So
we
that's
would need
obviously
to-
really extreme,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we don't want to go there, but
we would need to be prepared as individuals.
be prepared to go back to the 1800s. And about, I'd say 95%, not to put us down, probably would never make it. Okay, so we just won't. We don't know how to farm. We don't know how to survive.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
we
I
don't
was
know
gonna
these
say.
things.
People
So
don't know how to do that.
all we know is militarily, this has always been a concern for us. So we may be the strongest, and the reason I say it like that, we may be the strongest military. I don't buy our military will work this time. I don't buy that we can just push people around, because if they can hack our system and shut down our grid, or if they somehow get a missile over to us, if we somehow cause that altercation, it could do that. Now, granted, we're going to shut them down too.
Sure.
But what a way for the elite to get rid of 6
Yeah.
billion people, right?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's extreme, but I'm just
So
really
you
trying
got
to
people
outline.
like North Korea already has atomic weapons.
Do you know what you
and-
haven't heard of?
And Iran
Yep.
is working on them, and we are almost like
There's
doing
no doubt.
nothing.
In China and
nothing.
Russia definitely have.
Right.
You know what most people have never heard about, but weeks ago, North Korea had sent a full fleet of nuclear subs down to South area. We were this close to a major military confrontation with North and South.
A lot of times those people act like they just don't care.
Right.
And normally those types of folks have no respect for human life.
Yeah.
It
Well,
doesn't mean a thing for them.
Luciferian, that's
right.
why, yeah.
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
and so the reason we talk about this, and not to scare anybody, because I even say the same thing. If we're going back to the 1800s, I'm going to be irritated, because I am not going to want to be a farmer. I personally, the one thing I think I'll miss the most is air conditioning. So
I hear you.
I'm not digging
And
100-degree heat, I'm telling you. So I'm not going to be happy, but am I prepared, and could I survive? Absolutely. I can live off the land if I have to. I definitely could. But we want to show this, because how are we going to stop the world from encroaching against destroying the dollar? I'm really saying the only way we've got is militarily, kind of showing them. Now, let's show some of these maps to get people to understand that. Let's show our military footprint that we started out with last week, that we gave you about a 5-second look at. This is number 13. And this one is this is a little more detailed, but this number 13 is an actual footprint of our military actions and activities. And this particular footprint, now that's the BRICS and the Trans-Pacific Partnership. 13 would be our military map, so it would show, yeah, there you go. Thank you so much, Stephen. Okay, that right there in the red in the center is the United States. And you can see in red where we've kind of positioned ourselves. If you haven't noticed on the right, look at where we're at. That is Iraq. Look at the arrows. Iraq. We're right in the middle of the Middle East. Okay? And then, of course, we're in Europe, northern area. We're down by Australia. We're over in Japan. Look where we're putting our position. Now, think about that for a moment. That map right there. Every arrow shows you where we're at militarily. Do you see what we're setting up? Does it not look like on the right there a catcher's mitt? You see how it's a big circle from the top and around in red? Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, you can take that off. This is interesting, and here's why. Our military is setting up bases. There's a reason we picked fights in Ukraine, Syria. We're trying to win the gas attack. We are Afghanistan, Iraq. If you notice that red, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Ukraine. If you notice, we're setting up a catcher's mitt. The East is coming across, and we want to have our military right in the middle of that trade route to intimidate them and tell them you're not going to dominate the dollar. You're not going to take the dollar out because we're right here in your backyard. Now, this is so serious because this is military. And remember what we said the other week. They've already had estimates that there was 66 times this year alone, NATO and Russia almost went to war. Now, if that happens overnight, our standard of living, our retirement will be wiped out in a way we will never see coming. Get educated, get properly diversified, and get ready. And here's a good way to get started.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
Now, what is our Western media telling us? Russia wants to go to war. Russia's trying to invade the Western nations again. Russia is trying to go back to the Cold War. It's Russia's fault. It's Russia's fault. Russia wants war. That's what our media tells us, right? Now, granted, I'm not sticking up for Russia. I think they're pretty hardcore. But I'm merely just telling you who's really pushing the buttons. Really? Look at this next image, 14. Russia wants war. And I call this a spoof. Russia wants war. Do you see all those circles with those little symbols? That's the NATO symbol. Who is setting up for war?
So is that where
That's where NATO military is set up. If you noticed, we're the ones on Russia's back door. We're the ones in the middle. If look at that, that's Afghanistan, Pakistan, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, Europe. Look at in the Middle East down there in Saudi Arabia and Iraq. And we're surrounding who? Iran. And who? Russia. So I'm doing that as a spoof because they're saying Russia wants war. You can take that off. Russia wants war, huh? If you were Russia, if you were Iran, and you had all those military bases, enemies around you, and don't think for a second they don't think NATO's an enemy, wouldn't you be a little nervous? Wouldn't you be a little bit, let's get prepared? Recently, just a few weeks ago, Russia and China went through the largest combined military training exercise of its kind. They used to be kind of like enemies, and now they're becoming very good friends. We keep saying it's Russia, and look at what NATO's doing. So all I'm saying is that's how we're trying to keep the world in check, saying don't think of taking the dollar off its reserve, because that is our very survival. My concern, we may do what we shouldn't be doing militarily, enforcing this in a way that would be catastrophic for the world because we don't want to lose that power. Remember, we almost did already back in the Great Depression and other periods. You just do your history. We're not giving it up this time. And I have a feeling we'll use some big firepower to do it, and that will obviously cause massive Third World War. So is it really Russia that wants it, or is it us? Something to think about. And let's go into this one right here. Now, what are they trying to do this? Why is this really going on? They are trying to destabilize us through one mechanism only. What do you think it is, Charles?
Well, it would probably have to be money to some degree.
What gave the dollar the world's control?
Well, because of our military being
No, it was
so
the
strong.
oil. Remember?
Oh, the oil. Okay,
Remember?
You're right. Yeah, so they're
The
trying
petrodollar.
No, Russia has a lot of oil. Is that correct?
I know, but this is the key. A lot of people, when they hear the word petrodollar, they think it's just really money profits from oil. It's not. The petrodollar is what happened in the 70s when Saudi Arabia was controlling all the oil exports. We went to Saudi Arabia and said, listen, we will trade you. You tell every country in the world if they want to buy oil, they have to use an American dollar. And in turn, we will protect you militarily from your enemies. Done. Deal. I'm in. Now, what did that do? That made the whole world need dollars
Sure.
in order to buy oil. Everybody needs oil. Two components, oil and food. A lot of people control their own food, but they can't get their own oil. So when the dollar was needed for oil, it made a world dominance to the trade. Gave us the superpower. That was why. That is the petrodollar.
Now that's getting ready to be
I'm
deteriorated.
saying they're coming after us for that. Now, we're trying to control it. Now, if people don't think that this is real, let me show you. Get ready for this. Let me show you this if you don't think it's real. Let's go to image number 15. We will stop at all cost if you get in our way. What do these three men have in common? They're all dead except the guy in Iran, but look what we just did to Iran. And the rest of them are dead. Libya in the middle, Muammar Gaddafi, and Saddam Hussein on the left. They refused to accept American dollars for oil. Instead, they were taking gold. Now, why is that important? Because when someone decided to get off the petrodollar standard, we went to war. And, you know, and people used to say that back in the day when we went to Iraq. It's only about oil. They just were misinformed a little bit. It was, yes, oil, but it was really about our dominance in the world trade in dollar. Because if we lose the petrodollar, we lose our standard of living. We lose our Sundays, our movies, our way of life like you don't know. We live like kings. The poorest people in our country live like kings. And that is huge. To the rest of the world, mind you.
I just read a report, and this would probably startle some people. I read a report, UN statistics, 71% of the population of the world are living on less than $10 a day now.
Amazing.
$10 American dollars a day. Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, what kind of a life would we have if we were living on $10 a day today? We would be in abject, what we would consider abject poverty.
Yeah.
And less than half of the population of the world, or more than half of the population of the world is living on less than $3 a day.
Yeah.
Half the population.
Yeah, when I was in Africa on business, we were out in the jungles, literally, and I shouldn't have gone. My wife warned me scripturally, and she was right, God bless her. But we were there, and I was asking questions about it. They said they make $2 a day doing what they do. And I said, well, why don't they, you know, and they said, but here's the problem. If you pay, I said, well, why wouldn't they pay more? And really motivate and stimulate. He said if you paid them more, they wouldn't work as hard. So if they're working 7 days a week, getting $2 a day, if you paid them $3 a day, they would work 5 days a week and take a couple days off. They have no concept of savings, driving to success. They only work for food, work for clothing and basic essentials. So essentially you had to pay them $2 a day to keep them motivated, to keep them just hungry enough to work. I think that's the world's what I call hybrid socialist angle for all of us in the future. They're going to bring up some of the poor standards, and then they're going to lower our kingly standards. And you don't have to say it. Look at a third of this country already today. They're living barely. And it's not what America was. But if we are doing it through this approach, this trade confrontation, our military is trying to say this is the line in the sand. Is that going to accomplish it? I really beg to differ. I have a feeling they're pushing buttons we're not going to be able to, well, put it this way, we used to say in the day, duck and cover. Because what's coming, you better have some preparation for, because we'll get through it, but I only believe those who are properly prepared spiritually to meet their Maker, right in your heart, right with your neighbors and your family the best you can, and be prepared with emergency food, water. If you have assets to protect, get them out of the system. Know the rules in the banking. Your cash sitting in the bank, dishonest weight and measure, and it's abomination, says the Lord. Honest scales are a delight. Get protected and get in the right asset that belongs to God, and here's some good education to get started.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
So we all are very sensitive and understand the Iraq War. I myself have a National Defense Medal, from the first one. Many of us know people that either died or was injured. We know the war well. One side wanted it, the other side didn't. I think both of them, the ones that didn't understand it, I think, the right way, and the ones that did were misled. So the whole thing was wrong. I think war, period, stinks. I've been in the military now. I was so gung-ho as an American. I was what they trained us to be. And I look back now and go, none of that was worth my brothers and sisters injured, mentally injured, to the tune they were for what? For our lie and deception? No, that's not how you do it. You get right with Jesus Christ. Stop bringing in false idols to our nation. Stop accepting false religions and false idols to our nation. Stand firm that this nation is under God, indivisible, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, not Jesus of the occultic, Luciferian world of Isaiah 14. O Lucifer, son of the morning, now you have fallen. We are being deceived in a very serious way that we are going to get a butt kicking to, because God's hand of favor will be lifted and the devil's going to roll in. Wait until that spirit of perversion rolls through this nation. They're already teaching your children in elementary now serious perverted history and perverted acts as children. It was never about equality. It was about going after the kids. And all I know is when you go after the children, you're from the devil, no doubt about it, because you're trying to corrupt the very beginning of the root. And so we have to understand that we better get right, because we're pushing buttons. I don't know if we can finish this time. Yes, we're the best military, but I don't think that's it this time. Do you know China can dump, and we're going to get into this next week, if they decide to, they could dump all the U.S. treasuries they own, and we completely collapse. Wait till you see what they've been up to, though, with that.
Unfortunately, people are sleeping, what the Bible calls sleeping and slumbering.
Is it sleeping or is it deception? I come to steal, kill, and destroy through lies and deception.
Proverbs said if you a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, he said poverty comes on you like a bandit. So if we're not paying any attention, a lot of times people are just like, these guys are talking about this stuff, and like you said in one of the earlier programs, you've been talking about this for a long time. It's never happened. There was a flood in West Virginia several years ago when I was probably in my 20s. And that flood was from a coal mine cleaning lake. And it was in a valley, huge mountains down in southern West Virginia. It's called the Buffalo Creek Flood. Scores of people lost their lives. They had come through town numerous times, loudspeakers, and said, go for the hills, the dam is about to break. Numerous times. They came through this time, said the dam is about to break. People said, look, we've heard this so many times, we're just not going to pay any attention. Houses were washed away. Whole villages were washed away. And it was crazy. It's almost like the fox thing, except in the sense that cry wolf. Yeah. We're not crying wolf to play games with people. We're telling people there's an inevitable adjusting that is going to take place.
Yes,
Are we
Charles.
prepared to be successful?
Thank you.
We can come out on top of this. I've said this before.
Well, this is why we're here,
Exactly.
And I know you're all on this. We are going to come out on top if we're lined
prepared.
up in the Word.
That's
we're
the key.
prepared spiritually for the truth and the wisdom to come through you through the Holy Spirit.
Some of the greatest wealth that was ever transferred was the wealth that was transferred to people that were prepared during the Great Depression, because they had set themselves in a place where the wealth that the people were losing, we've said this before, wealth doesn't leave the planet. It transfers from one person to the other, from one country to the other.
And
we've got to get ready for it transferred to us.
Yes, because they're going to do it through the petrodollar. Russia has made it very clear they're going after the petrodollar, and we push the buttons. And so if you don't think the petrodollar is important, then look at image 16, if you don't think this is important. However, the scam began to unravel when Saddam Hussein started selling Iraq's oil directly for euros instead of dollars, abrogating the cozy arrangement Americans had with OPEC. Thus Saddam had to be stopped. And how? Yep, we know how that was, didn't we? You can take that off. He was selling it for euros, and we went in and took it over and blew it up. This is, in the end, what this is all about. This is who we've become. This is who we used to be, and this is what we are today. Image number 17, we'll wrap it up with this. We used to be a dollar backed by gold. God's real. Now we're backed by firepower, arrogance, and strength. Get right, get protected, get emergency food, water, get your assets right, get your heart right. Ask Jesus Christ into the center. That truth will set you free. God bless you.
Make sure you tell somebody about the wealth transfer. Terry and I'll be back next week, same place, same time. We hope to see you right here for the wealth transfer.
Stone Asset Metals has focused on using gold and silver reserves to protect your assets from volatile currencies. Another hard asset that is just as important for your sustainability is food. We believe that preparation is a key to being successful in an unstable economic environment, so we started Cam Ready Food just for you. The Bible tells us that Joseph used the resources of Egypt to prepare for a global famine by storing up food in a time of plenty. His preparation not only preserved the lives of his family, but many others as well. At Cornerstone, we believe the time is now to re-examine this biblical lesson so that you and your family can be prepared for any disaster, job loss, food shortage, or economic instability. You can start preparing today by visiting our website, camreadyfood.com, because food truly is the ultimate currency. Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.